Hello everyone, back again with another Final Fantasy Record Keeper 5-star magicite battle. Now I'm skipping the normal intro because where I go through my setup, mainly because this battle takes long enough as it is. As you just saw my time there, my previous record was 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So I'll talk about my setup during the video, as I will have plenty of time to do that. Now, with this particular setup, I'm focusing on characters from Final Fantasy IX, because, as you may remember, not too long ago, they did introduce realm chains, which are an interesting concept because basically what it does is it increases damage for anyone who is in that particular realm. And with Hecatoncheir here, I don't have a wind chain. So what I figured I would try doing is I would try using the 9 realm chain because I have some good wind users in this particular realm. So here we go, the Final Fantasy realm chain Sworn Protector. You will see this animation several times during this video. I mean, I'm sure that if I experiment, maybe I might find another setup. This is just the one that I've found actually, that I've managed to pull off consistently. Because if you've seen some of my other videos where I've done my 2 other 5-star realms, it's been weird because the setup that I used to complete it initially, I was never able to get those setups to work again, so I had to make modifications, and I couldn't sub 60 them again. But right now I'm just happy to finally get another one of these pain-in-the-butt battles under my belt. So as you can see from my main magicite using Howling Moon, one of the reasons that this particular boss can be tough is because he uses an attack that removes haste, and also while he's in his Earth Rage mode, the delay for his actions decreases, so it can be hard to keep up with him. Another reason he can be a pain in the butt is because he uses another attack, Savage Gaian Salvo, I think is the name of it. Like, you'll see it, trust me. And what that does is that temporarily lowers your attack in magic. So again, it makes it a lot harder to inflict damage. So what I'm doing for the characters, for most of the battle, Freya here is going to be alternating between her 2 abilities. Okay, I forgot the names, but the first one is the one that does 3 wind and lightning jump attacks, but then reduces the delay of your Dragoon abilities. Cyclone, yeah, Bolt, that was it. And then Sky High, the 6-star Dragoon ability. So she alternates between that. So maybe that'll help with some of you if you're trying to set up your own strategy. It's actually a very useful combination. Now with Tyro here, he's pretty much wrathing and supporting. I'm using, well, as you can see here, I'm using Arbitrator's Tome, and that's going to give you haste, which again is something you need in this battle. Otherwise, you can't keep up with this boss. And then also, I have him do the, okay, I can't remember the name of the grimoire. Yeah, again, you'll see it. It's the one where it gives you 2,000 stock HP, plus it gives you a shield that lets you avoid 1 debuff, which is quite important in this fight to make this setup work. And then, of course, Divine Veil Grimoire. So here again, we've got Sworn Protector again. Because, again, this particular time I was near the end of the chain, but I renew it several times during the fight. And whenever the boss uses that attack that debuffs you. So this Ultra for Freya, I have, in addition to her Ultra here, I do also have one of her Legend Materias. Also, all characters here are fully level dived. So again, we're using for our Roaming Warrior the Fabula Guardian. At least until Warder's Apocrypha. That's the one I was thinking of. So again, this is helpful because the boss does blind you and can confuse you later in the battle. So that's why I chose using this particular ability, because that way I don't have to mess around with debuffing people. Sometimes when I've done this battle, a couple of times Steiner gets confused near the end, but usually that's the only time I mess up. So Magicka Elm for my healing, and one of the reasons this setup can be tricky is because I don't have a last stand going. So if I die, okay, and also with Freya here, this is one of the things you have to be careful with her, because the Sky High ability has a very long delay, which is why it's nice when you do Cyclone Bolt followed by that ability. Now in this case it actually worked out quite well, because since she was up in the air, she missed the debuff, but unfortunately she did miss the critical buff there. But at least when she lands, she inflicts, her full damage. So for breaking the damage cap, just have Mio Twister. Now I do have the Ultra for Zidane as well as his Arcane. I tried a different setup where I was basically using Tyro as a battery for Zidane, but I just couldn't get that setup to work. I had a few near misses or near completions, but like I said, it just wasn't working. So for his abilities, Slash and Dash, which again does more damage with the dagger, so he's got the 5-star or the artifact dagger equipped. And then I use that until I get to the point where I use the ability that okay, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. I keep forgetting the names of some of these abilities. But it's the Thief ability that deals wind damage and restores part of your HP. So I'm sure I'll remember it. Storm Assault, that's it. So actually a very helpful 6-star ability if you can get it. And then for the healing for Alara, I see the reason I don't have a last stand here is because I tried doing it with Aerith, but the problem is he gets into this point where he starts using an attack that hits you like 3 times in a row and it's not reduced by armor. So that can be very dangerous. There's a lot of times where it's like, okay, you're getting to the point where you have just a tiny sliver of HP left. So again, I was trying it with Aerith and Innocent Cure, but it wasn't working, so I switched to Magicka Album. And the reason for that is that Regenga, where it, again, 2,000 hit points per tick, that just helps you. You pretty much need something like that to keep up with the damage that Hecatoncheir dishes out. So, yeah, I said about to hit the Dragon Blossom again, or Moon Dragon Blossom. And that's where you really have to be careful with Freya. And this setup is you got to make sure you keep it straight where you're doing Cyclone Bolt followed by Sky High, so you get that delay. Also, another thing that's nice about Moon Dragon Blossom is it does lower the opponent's defense and resistance, which again doesn't do as much for the 5-star boss battles because they resist those, but it's better than nothing. It helps a little bit. So here we got Mio Twister, break the damage cap, because again, when he's in his rage mode, his speed increases, but unfortunately his damage, let me go back. When he's in his rage mode, his damage decreases, but his speed increases. So again, you can see for the Steiner's abilities, I do have both the Raging Quad Strike and then the Snow Spell Strike. I save Snow Spell for later in the battle because that's when he just keeps spamming that Savage Salvo that reduces your attack. So I save the stronger abilities for the end of the fight. I did try it the other way before. I tried just burning off all my stronger abilities, but it wasn't really getting me anywhere. So that's why I chose this. So maybe that'll work for you. Maybe it won't. Like I said, as you can see, it's quite a lengthy battle. And I'm sure that someday, if I get a wind chain, I can probably significantly decrease the amount of the amount of time this battle takes. But right now, as I said, I'm just happy to finally be able to beat this one. But then again, I found out for a lot of the magicite battles, it's very rare that I can actually master them my first time. I know for the 3-star and even for most of the 4-star ones, usually I could complete it, but I had to come back later with better equipment to master. Or Moon Blossom Dragon. Yeah, I keep messing up the name of it, but you know, you can read the screen. You know what I'm doing. And the other ability I have for Steiner is one of his bursts. It's the, I'll get the name of it in a moment here, but I use it primarily as a chain builder when he's... Because one of the things I noticed when I was using this setup is when I initially was trying it, there were a lot of times where I constantly had at least 4 bars for his meter there, which meant that if I was just using Sworn Protector all the time, I wasn't really taking full advantage of the chain. So I took one of his other bursts in there as just something I use as the occasional fill-in ability to increase the chain. I think it's Knight's Oath, because I think he has like 2 bursts that are similar named, like Knight's Oath and Knight's Honor. The one I chose does fire and non-elemental damage, so at least it does something. Okay, and you may have just caught that he used Headbutt on Steiner, and that's why I put Steiner in the front there. I used to have Freya front and center, but the problem with that was Freya tended to die rather quickly, and as a result, that caused, well, you take she's pretty much my top DPS in this fight. So you take her out of the game, it's going to make the battle take a lot longer. So that's when I decided, okay, I'll switch their positions, and it actually did make quite a difference because it keeps Freya alive so she could do her damage. So again, you have to be careful with how you use Magicka Album in this particular setup, because otherwise, because usually I try to wait until the regeneration effect is done, because again, when you get to this point in the battle, you really need that to keep up with the boss's damage output. Yeah, Savage Guy in Salvo. That is such a pain in the butt. So again, you also have to be careful with Tyro and how you use his soul breaks, because, you know, usually you want to try to make sure you're hitting it when at least one person is debuffed. Otherwise, it's more or less a waste. But yeah, this is what I mean. Knight's Honor. So that's the one that I was using here. And again, the reason I keep refreshing the Sworn Protector is because, again, you get to this later point in the battle. Yeah, because Savage Quake, I believe that one removes your haste, and then the other one lowers your attack and magic, which, as I said, makes it harder to deal damage at the later stages. But like I said, right now I'm actually getting pretty lucky with this playthrough, because I'm hitting most of Zidane Mio Twisters when he's not in that weakened state, which is helpful, because sometimes when I don't get the timing right, because yeah, as you can see here with Magicka Album, I'm not going to hit it yet, because everyone's doing pretty good as far as health, and we've still got that regen effect going, so you know, you want to really save that for when you really need it. Usually during the end of the battle, I tend to be more prone to using it, because I don't want to I don't want to waste it, of course. And what I did with as far as the magicites, or not the magicites, the materia. So I give Freya Knight's Charge, the one that gives you a soul break bonus when you're, or fills your soul break meter faster when you take damage, and that allows her to spam this particular ability. And then for Tyro and Zidane, I gave them the Battle Forged and Top Scorer so they can fill it fast, because again with Tyro you really need that so you can keep his soul break effects going, and then again with Zidane, he's the one that's breaking the damage cap. So we're just about done here with this particular fight. Yeah, I am, as I've said before, I am just so in awe at people who can complete these 5-star battles in 30 seconds or less. So yeah, this is what you can see why I saved the that Magica album, so that way I can use it when I'm getting really critically low. Now the Arbitrator's Grimoire that gives you the shield that allows you to avoid a debuff is helpful, because as I said, later in the fight he starts using Headbutt, which can cause a character to be confused, and usually it uses it on whoever is front and center. So here we go with Knight's Honors. So it does fire and non-elemental damage, so it can be useful as a chain builder in this situation. So again, right now he's that tiny little sliver of health. There you go, you saw a Headbutt there, but I think this does it. So nope, he's still got that teeny little sliver of health left. And of course he hits with the Savage, but don't worry, we are going to pull it off here. Yeah, I remember my heart was just beating like crazy at this point. It's like, okay, I've had so many of these Magicite battles where I had that boss in that little tiny sliver of life, and then he does something that wipes out the entire party. Okay, so, yep, and Freya pulls through again and gets us the win, which, as I said, was actually a pretty good improvement, because my previous record before this was like 2 minutes and 10 seconds, and finally got it down to less than 2 minutes. Unfortunately, still an expert, but at least it's complete. Now, one of the things that made a difference is I've been doing a lot of farming for the Magia crystals, and you can see everyone here has a pretty high Magia level. Freya at 90, Steiner at 95, Zidane at 93, and I've been putting all those bonus points into attack. Lately, I've been using Tyro more for support, so he's pretty much buffing his defense and resistance. And then, of course, Alara just getting her mind up there. So there you have it. A battle with Hecatoncheir complete. Not quite mastered, but hopefully this video will at least give you some ideas if you're struggling with this fight. And good luck with it, because yeah, this one, he can be tough. So thanks for tuning in, everyone, and we will catch you next time.